All right, so my pitch is based on the theory from the 1974 essay by Norman Mailer titled The Faith of Graffiti. It's kind of seen as a seminal text in graffiti culture and graffiti art history, basically outlining and detailing some of the most early taggers and artists in New York and kind of their lifestyle and what they would do. So my plan separates into three separate parts: research and development, inventing supplies. I'll explain what inventing supplies means later. And lastly, implementation. So research and development. I have three parts to this. First, study influential literature on graffiti to develop a better understanding, because personally, while I have a basic appreciation for it, I feel like there's so much more I could learn. And from my basic research so far, it seems like Subway Art by Martha Cooper and Art in the Streets by Roger Gassman are two really kind of influential texts, but I'll probably be pulling from more than just these two. And then the second two parts are develop name and style while accounting for both local and general history within the art form. So yeah, from the text, this really kind of profound quote I thought was, "The name is the faith of graffiti," meaning that everything's kind of based around these this artificial name, this alias. There's respect that comes from it. There's treating others' names with respect, and that just manifests in a lot of facets. But yeah, so basically, you obviously don't want to copy someone else's name locally, also really in general, but especially locally. So trying to pay attention to, seeing if the potential name I take on would, already be present locally, because I don't want to do that, don't want to upset anyone. And then lastly, communicating with possible partners, because I have a few friends that are interested in possibly partaking in graffiti with me. And yeah, basically talking about a course of action. So inventing supplies, which is just another way to say perhaps not legally obtaining said supplies from different paint stores and art stores. Potential locations, work styles, strategies on how to work with each other, objectives that we might want to accomplish together, how large of a spread would I want to, accomplish. It's a pretty vague instruction. It's the entire theory is just kind of like a call to action to get out there and do stuff. So, it seems to be left kind of in my hands, aside from just getting your name out there, to how far I take that, the scale of the works, all that kind of stuff. And then most importantly, avoiding attention. And yeah, so then moving on to inventing supplies, I think kind of like research, it's very important to visit potential stores ahead of time, understand their layouts, kind of level or depth of security. For example, Blick is probably the most strict and definitely not a possible or viable option. They keep everything under lock and key. And on top of it, their staff is very attentive, partially to dissuade from theft, because it's so easy with so many small items for sale. Then returning with partners once I have a set plan, with alternative options in mind if issues arise. And this sounds weird, but yeah, like wearing loose baggy clothing is kind of like typical, because it's easier to like store or stash things. Then moving on to the third and final component, which is the actual implementation. Locations, I put central institutional bland, just because basically the Faith of Graffiti talks about, how it's like an intention of bringing color and beauty to these very modern, bland, kind of institutional facades. Working with people, I think it's definitely safer to do that, because then you can have someone kind of have your back. Have a spot to stash supplies just in case, because, if there's nothing on you, it's harder to, blame you. Don't write over the other names. That's considered really disrespectful, and we definitely don't want to do that. Write cleanly, and, because you'll be made fun of if your name is not clean, and then get your name around, and most importantly, don't get caught.